Hi, today I'm going to be showing you Pentart 3D powder. 3D powder is an additive that you mix with paint or other products that will make it thicker. It comes in fine, medium, and coarse. It's a powder that when mixed with your paint, it will thicken it. So it becomes a great consistency for stencils or to add texture to a project. This is the medium, this is fine, and this is coarse. When you add it to the paint, it doesn't dissolve, therefore it doesn't change the color of your paint. It will just thicken it and make it a great consistency to use with a palette knife or a brush. It's great through a stencil, or paint it onto an object to add texture to it, which you can then paint over. So you can add it to any color paint. You can also add it to modeling paste to give the modeling paste even more texture. So if I just take some of this modeling paste and add it to the coarse, just keep stirring it in. And it gives it a really great consistency. I'm going to show you a few ways to use this. So here I've mixed the coarse with the modeling paste, and now I'm going to add some terracotta paint so it's perfect to use through a brick stencil. So I just mix it thoroughly. You could also just use the modeling paste with the 3D powder through the stencil and then paint it. Or you could mix it in like I am and then go over it with some other colors of paint to give it some more dimension. So I just take my mixture and add it through the stencil. And just be sure, don't wash this stencil off right into the sink. Wipe it off with some wet wipes or wet paper towel first, so you don't get a lot of this down the drain, because you wouldn't want it to clog your drain. And then you can take it off. You've got a really nice brick pattern there. For this project, I want to add some texture to the frame. So I first painted it with the bonding primer because it was a metal frame. I decoupaged a Decoupage Queen rice paper to it, added a couple molds, and they're still a little wet, but I can go ahead and make my mixture for the frame. I used Pentart paint in 2 different colors to combine this kind of a taupey sort of color. And I'm going to add the medium 3D powder to make a bit of a paste. Then when it dries, and after I paint my molds on here, I'm going to make a paste for texture with different colors of green to sort of make like a mossy kind of look to it, and add that to the bottom. So I'm just using this to thicken it a little bit. I might add a little bit of the coarse as well. So I'm just going to take a tiny little bit of the coarse. I don't want to make it all that thick. And when I make my paste with the green, I'll make that a lot thicker. So I'm just going to paint this on. And I'll come back and paint these molds a dark brown. So I'm just going to paint this, and then I'll come back and show you what it looks like. Okay, so I painted the molds. I used Pentart Earthy Brown, and then just did an off-white sort of a light dry brush on top. And the frame, you saw me start with the sort of pinkish brownish color, but then I did just a cream dry brush on top to give it some dimension. So I have 3 colors of green here, and I'm going to add some of the medium and some coarse to each color, and then just pounce it onto the frame. I might need to use a palette knife as well. Okay, I'm going to start with a little bit of dark. And I'm putting it on pretty thick. That way it has some nice texture to it. And use some of the medium color. See how I'm blending the 3 colors a little bit so you don't see the stark difference in color. But this is adding some great texture to the frame. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to add some more in here, and then I'm going to decorate it a little more and show you the final result. Okay, this is still a little wet down here with the glue, but I added a little bit of the Spanish moss, some flowers, gold wax here. The paint mixed with the 3D powder is all dry, and so that's another way you can use the 3D powder, not only through stencils, but to make a texture paste. So I decoupaged this tag with some rice paper, and I added 2 molds and painted them with the Pentart. It's metallic sparkling blue paint. And I'm going to add 2 stencils here. And since I don't have a stencil paste, then I'm going to add the 3D powder. For this, I'm going to use either the medium or the fine because I just want a slightly thickened product, not a lot of texture. So I'd like to add these 2 colors to get a little mix. I think this blue was too dark. Sparkling blue. And I'm going to mix the light blue. So let me just add a little bit of this. And then I'll add the 3D powder. Okay, now I have a pretty medium blue, and I'm just going to take this. This is the fine. But again, it doesn't really matter which one you use. And I'm just going to add a bit and mix it and then see if I need more. If I made it too thick, I can always come back and add more paint. But as you can see, it's not changing the color. This is a really pretty, like a steel blue color now with these 2 mixed together. I don't think I said, this was the delicate metallic bluish silver. So I just have this stencil for the corner piece and use the palette knife. Now these metallic paints are already a little bit thick, but for the stencil I just wanted a little bit thicker. And that's it. And then I'll do another one right over here. And there's the other one. Perfect. I love it. Isn't that so pretty? And I'll come back and show you what that looks like when it's dry. So this is the finished product, and I added a little bit of a stencil to each side here. Added a ribbon from Decoupage Queen. I'm just going to add a little bit of white wax just to highlight a little bit. And that's it. That is the 3D powder. That's perfect for making stencils or making any product into a texture paste.